The courtroom buzzed with tension as the trial of one of the city's wealthiest millionaires began. Cameras flashed, reporters whispered, and spectators held their breath, waiting for justice to unfold. But no one could have predicted what would happen next. Just as the millionaire's high-profile lawyer stood to deliver the opening statement, he froze, glanced nervously at the judge, and bolted. Shoes clattering, briefcase forgotten, he vanished from the courtroom entirely. Gasps erupted, murmurs turned to chaos, and the judge banged the gavel, demanding order. The courtroom was in disarray, and the millionaire sat stunned, realizing his case, worth millions, was suddenly defenseless. Lawyers whispered frantically, but no one volunteered to step in. And then, from the back of the courtroom, a voice echoed. It was timid at first, but full of quiet determination. "I can help." All eyes turned to see a man in worn-out clothes, sleeves rolled up, clutching a mop bucket. It was Joe Reynolds, a single dad who worked as a janitor at the courthouse. He had no formal legal training, but he had spent years observing trials during his cleaning shifts, memorizing courtroom procedures, and understanding the law in his own meticulous way. The judge raised an eyebrow. "You? A janitor? This is a serious federal trial." Joe nodded, calm yet resolute. "I know, Your Honor. But I can't let justice fail because someone else ran away. I'll do my best." The millionaire, desperate and with no other options, reluctantly agreed. And so, the unthinkable happened. The trial continued, with a janitor standing in for a lawyer. The courtroom was skeptical at first. Witnesses scoffed. Prosecutors smirked. But Joe's genuine approach, his careful observation, and his unwavering dedication slowly began to turn heads. He listened more than he spoke, asked pointed questions, and had a way of connecting with witnesses that no polished lawyer could replicate. Every question, every argument, was infused with a man's love for fairness and a desire to protect the innocent, not for fame or money. As days turned into weeks, the trial intensified. The millionaire's guilt was murky, and public opinion was split. But Joe never wavered. At home, he faced his own battles, raising his daughter, Emily, who struggled with bullying at school, and paying bills with his modest janitor salary. Yet, every night, he returned to his tiny apartment, reviewed case files by dim lamplight, and strategized for the next day in court. The prosecution tried every tactic to intimidate him. They questioned his qualifications, mocked his background, and attempted to undermine his credibility. But Joe stayed calm. He reminded himself of why he was there, not for prestige, but to ensure truth prevailed. Slowly, the jury began to see what he saw, a pattern of deceit, a tale of lies that no fancy lawyer could untangle as effectively. The climax came on the trial's final day. The courtroom was silent as Joe delivered a heartfelt closing statement. He didn't use fancy legal jargon. He spoke to the heart. He reminded the jury that justice wasn't about wealth, about appearances, or about who could afford the best lawyer. It was about truth, fairness, and integrity. He looked around the room, his eyes landing on his daughter in the audience, who held back tears, proud of her dad's courage. When the verdict was read, the millionaire was acquitted. The courtroom erupted, not just for the legal victory, but for the janitor who had become a hero, a man who defied expectations and showed that courage, dedication, and heart could overcome any obstacle. Joe returned to his janitor duties the next day, unnoticed by most, yet transformed. He had proven that heroism often comes in ordinary packages, that determination can shatter barriers, and that one person's courage can inspire an entire community. Emily hugged him tightly that night, whispering, "You're my hero, Dad." And in that moment, Joe realized he had done more than win a trial. He had changed the world, one act of integrity at a time. The story ended with a lesson that echoed far beyond the courtroom walls. True strength isn't measured by money, education, or status. It's measured by the courage to step up when no one else will.